What's going on, guys? Mike back. Another video. Canadian cards. Just want to talk a little bit about the Strongsville Sportscard show, just south of Cleveland. Had a great time this weekend. Met up with a bunch of YouTubers. Went down with a friend of mine from Brantford, Ontario, Steve, trying to convince him to get into YouTube. He thinks he wants to, but he's not sure. Big Baltimore Orioles collector, Ripken, Brooks Robinson, stuff like that, Jim Palmer. So I'm working on trying to convince him. He was kind of impressed that through YouTube I met so many what I consider friends in the hobby. Something he goes to card shows and he sees people, but actually hanging out with them he thought was pretty cool. Met up with on Friday. We got there Friday, left early Sunday morning, so we spent all day Friday, all day Saturday, maybe about an hour and a half in the show Sunday, and then we booked it. It was a 4-hour drive. Our journey started Friday morning. Just crossed over in Buffalo and thought, well, I'm going to fuel up in gas because American gas is cheaper than Canadian, and filled up the tank and had a dead battery. So that's how my weekend started. So I thought it was going to be, maybe a bad sign, but it turned out to be quite the opposite. We got that fixed within a half hour, called AAA, bought a new battery. Apparently ours was on its last leg, so we replaced that and we were on our way in a half an hour. On Friday, we met up with Chris from Missouri, Scott, Reindeer Studios, Eric, Four Leaf Cards, and then, is that everybody? 1, 2, and me and Steve. Yeah, 5 of us. And then on Friday night, Eric left. He was on a road trip for work, popped in, and he left. We had a couple of drinks and a bite to eat after the show, and about like 7 p.m. he left on Friday night because he had to get home up to Albany, New York, because he was coaching his son's t-ball team or little league team, and then at noon another child of his had soccer, and I was just like, whoa, this guy's like on a mission, because that's a lot of traveling and very little sleep. So on Saturday, Don's Field of Dreams showed up, and Scott was there again, and Chris. And then we also ran into Josh, J. Stottlemyre 1, and Andrew, Nuff Said Cards. And Josh's buddy Adam was there with him too. So just a lot of camaraderie, had a good time, a lot of goofing around. It's like we kind of knew each other for 20 years. Like, it was kind of no holds barred. The shots were flying, but we had a fantastic time. And you know what, there is something to say about this community that and I think that's where my buddy took away a lot. Not only did he appreciate the vintage that was down there, like I always do, but just hanging out with like-minded people. He had a blast. So I'm going to try and recap. Now, I picked up a couple of sets that I'm going to recap later in the week for a different video, because I don't have a lot, but I have a lot to show, and it's kind of, it's hard to explain. This would be like a 30-minute video, and I don't want it to be, so I'm going to turn it around. Try and get through. I want to try and keep this under 10 minutes, and then I'll show off the 2 sets I picked up on a separate video, maybe later in the week. I'm shooting this Monday night at 20 after 6, so I'm not an editing guy. I'll probably just fire it off and upload it, hopefully within the next half hour. And stick around. I'll show you what I got. That's right, I got mustard. I'm just kidding, guys. I did get mustard, but there's a story behind this. And this one, by the way, has already been opened. So I have to run this one back up to the fridge, and these can just go in the cupboard in the pantry. But story behind this. We went out for dinner. Scott, Chris, my buddy Steve, and Don on Saturday night. And we were just shooting the gab, and I told Scott that the first time I was ever in Cleveland was a Jays at Cleveland game, 1987. We went to the Saturday, stayed overnight, went to the Sunday game. But the big thing I was impressed with was the mustard on their hot dogs. And it's just known as the authentic stadium mustard. So when I told him that, I said, I think it's called just stadium mustard. And he was nodding like he knew what I was talking about. And I said, like, is that a thing? And he said, it is a thing. Like, it's a thing for Cleveland. Like, that's what they're famous for. So we kind of laughed about that. And then Sunday, he shows up and brings me 4 bottles to bring home to Canada. So needless to say, I have mustard for the next decade. Although I like this stuff on pretty much anything. So it's like Frank's Red Hot. I put that shit on everything. So let me go through my pickups. I'm going to try and do all the loose cards as quickly as possible. So bear with me, okay, guys? And I'll try and tell you... no, I'm not going to remember everything. But I went through... $1 bin, and I picked up 3 of these Leroy Jordans because he's a good TTMer. And then they were on the front, so I knew I was going to buy them. So then I went through and just picked up some Red Sox cards. Fergie, 78 Fergie, 78 Fred Lynn, 78 Tiant, 277 Tiants. So grab those. I am also working on the 1967 Philadelphia set. Now, I'm not going to go through all of these, but I will tell you a story that I severely screwed up on. And there's one that I can, if I come across the card, I put a pretty good dent in this. I think I only need, this is the guy. I only need about 60 more cards to complete this, and very few bangers. So I made the mistake of going through one guy's box, and his cards were out of order. So I just put the ones that I needed. I would look at the number, yeah, I need it. And then I'd go through 5 more, yeah, I need it. Didn't cross-reference, and of course I bought 3 of the Jim Shorters. So and by the way, I got a deal on all these. I paid $1 a piece, so some were 2 and some were 3, but pretty much they were $1. So I did put a pretty good dent in a lot of this set. And then on a separate deal, I picked up the Dick Butkus. So I'm just going to stack these aside. The Bart Starr, great shape. And then the second-year Gale Sayers. I really like that pose. It's kind of, it may even be the same pose. I know someone like Terry TJ Mack may know. He's pretty good with the football. It might be a zoomed-in photo of the 66 rookie, but I just like that card. So, not all the greatest shape, but really nice shape. What else do we want to go with? Picked up this. I bought this from Dawn, Fields of Dreams. One of the Yaz cards that I did not have, the 64 stand-up. I will not be seeking this one out in an 8 because it is a pretty penny. So, but Dawn gave me a great deal on this, and I was happy to add that to the collection. I did pick up from another dealer an 8 of the 1967 Red Sox Carl Yastrzemski sticker. These are just blank backs, but happy with that because it's the 8 goes well with the uniform number. Picked up some boxing. let's stay with baseball. We'll come back to boxing. Picked this up from a guy who was selling off some stuff, and when a dealer passed, I asked if I could look at this. It's a 2.5. It's a C 1934 Haberman's Yankee Stadium postcard. So I'm not sure if this is depicted in 1934, and you know what, for the life of me I could have just read the back. Home of the New York Yankees Baseball Club. Yeah, it just talks about Yankee Stadium. So, I mean, that looks like it can be a very old postcard of Yankee Stadium, and not 1934, but produced in 1934. So, the guy had a sticker on it that said Ruth Gehrig, like question mark, like could they be depicted in there? Who knows? I don't know. Andrew Nuff said cards. I should have asked him because I know he's good with his postcards and stuff like that, and his vintage, but throw that there. And then I picked up from, I think his name is Craig Halbig. He's been on Mike Baseball Collector's channel before. Introduced myself. Gave me a good deal on 3 exhibits. The first one being the Willie Mays portrait, and then I guess that's the Willie Mays in action. One's a 4, one's a 5, but I think those are absolutely fantastic pieces. And then if we get into boxing, I picked up also from Craig, I picked up the Rocky Marciano. It's authentic, and the reason being, what's it say here? Reason being minimum size not met. So, but that's okay. It's he gave me a good deal on all 3. I was happy to take them off his hands. Nice guy too. Also picked up from a separate dealer that will be going to JT SGC, Brown Bomber, Joe Louis. Says 1948. Did not pay $40 for that. Actually picked this up with the Yaz sticker, so I got a little bit of a discount there. So I got those, and then what else did I pick up boxing? From my 1956 adventure set, I picked up the Jim Jeffries. I needed that. I'm putting that set together raw. And then I also picked up the Primo Carnera, which was good. And I picked up this, the 1910 ATC Mecca, which is American Tobacco Company, cigarette card of Abe Battelle. If you guys know, he is and like the red on that is just outstanding. He is the one, he's the gangster in the Black Sox scandal. So just think that's a pretty cool piece. I've got his 48 leaf. I don't have anything older, but I just think, you know, American, or at least baseball folklore, he plays a big part, believe it or not. And then I found one dealer who did me a solid with all of these. So, you know, I'm building the 49 Bowman. You know, some of them have marks here and there. Overall, I paid about $7 a card. Now, some of these were a little more, and some, like this one, I know this one was a little more because it's in better shape, and it's Johnny Sane. But just, I think, is that the Bob Elliott? No, that's the Willard Marshall. That's the Bob Elliott there. And that's in pretty good shape too. So some of these were a bit more pricey, but a lot of them, when he considered them to be in low to mid grade, he had them at $4. And he had this thing where no matter how many commons you took, there wasn't like hey, would you take this? He just takes 20% off. So, I mean, that's fair. I'm okay working with that. And then that bad boy. So, all told, I knocked off 33 cards from the Bowman set. I was at 40 cards done. I am now at 73. The set is 240. I have completed almost 39%. So it was a fantastic show. I had a great time, and again, maybe I said this or not, I can't reiterate it enough. The camaraderie at the National is great, but if you're there for vintage, you have to do a lot of walking, which is a pain in the ass for me because I got a bad hip. And yes, I'm still waiting for surgery. And you don't have to deal with any of the new shiny stuff. So if you're there for vintage, this is at every table, like every single table. It's almost like what do they call that? Sensory overload, because you're like, oh my God. Like, and I know how when you look at new tables, dealers with newer stuff, it all looks the same. But I will say this, that when you go to a complete vintage show, you start seeing the same things over and over and over. Like 53 top Satchel Paige, I think everyone had one, either raw or graded. Everyone had a Ricky Henderson or multiple rookie card because he was signing there. It was just a great weekend. And again, not to overemphasize, and I've already gone over my 10-minute allotment, but hanging out with those guys was an absolute blast. So I'll show off the 2 sets I got along with this. I think I did pretty good, and I think I need to save some pennies for the National now. So hope you're all doing well. Talk soon. Bye.